Welcome to Mental Health Moments. The subject before us today is anxiety. We're going to give you some great information, some resources, and hopefully we'll give you some tools to be able to help you whenever anxiety comes roaring your way. We'll be right back. And welcome back. If you're already a subscriber, we're happy to have you along with us. Hello and thank you again. And if you're new to us, we're glad to have you along with us tonight. We hope that our time together is going to be helpful to you, and some of the information that we give you is going to help you along your way. Just a reminder, as always, what we give you here is information. That information is not meant to be a diagnosis for anything, nor is it meant to replace anything that your doctor or your therapist has already given you as treatment. So we just want you to receive it as such. Hopefully it will be helpful to you. When we started Mental Health Moments, we said that one of the things that we wanted to do was make sure that we are answering the questions that people are asking. We wanted to deal with the things that you, as the viewer, needed to hear. And this, right off the bat, became one of the top requested things. Tonight we're talking about that very thing, anxiety. And I wanted to begin tonight by, if I can, managing your expectations, because there really isn't any way to cover everything that needs to be covered on this subject all at one time. And so what we're most likely going to be doing is, over the next several weeks, in one way or another, we're going to be dealing with this topic, and we will also just be starting the discussion tonight. So hopefully you will find the answers that you need. And I always like to begin with a clear understanding of what we're talking about by definition. Anxiety is defined as distress or uneasiness of mind caused by fear of danger or misfortune. It's a fear. It is an uneasiness. It's an uncertainty or a distress that's in your mind. In psychiatry, they define it as a state of apprehension and tension occurring in some forms of mental disorder. A state of apprehension or tension that occurs. You feel apprehensive about some things, and the reality is that we all deal with it. I know that you can nod your head and agree with that, we all deal with it in one level or another, or one way or another. People deal with it daily. Some of you have been dealing with it today. You found yourself in a state of anxiety over something. The reality is that we all deal with it. At times it's very minimal. Sometimes it's there, and while it's there, it doesn't really control things in your life. But then we also know that there are other times when it can become debilitating, and it becomes very difficult to deal with and very difficult to manage. So hopefully we'll give you some tools tonight to be able to help manage that. According to the Mayo Clinic, the symptoms of anxiety are numerous, and as I often do, I want to give you a simple checklist, if you will, that you can answer yes or no. If you have something to write with, or if you'll just make a mental note of some things as I pass these along to you, yes or no. And wherever you find yourself answering yes, again, that's not meant to be a complete diagnosis, but it could give you an idea that maybe this is something that you need to work on. And wherever there is a no, I always believe in celebration. Whenever you find yourself, no, I'm not dealing with that, it's important for you to note that and say, I'm doing pretty good in that area. So let's look at this list. Feeling nervous, restless, or tense. Anxiety, yes or no? Do you find yourself feeling nervous, restless, or tense? Having a sense of impending danger, panic, or doom. I think we all deal with that, but if there is a problem with anxiety, it just seems to linger. It seems to hang on for longer than just a little while. Increased heart rate or hyperventilation. I think that's very interesting. As a matter of fact, we're going to include in this video a little graphic that we've put together for you to look at. You can look at it right now. A graphic on hyperventilation. And when your body is stressed or panicking, you have a fight or flight syndrome that kicks in, and your breathing starts to increase so that you can get more oxygen into your system. Hyperventilation. Signs of anxiety, according to Mayo Clinic: sweating, trembling, feeling weak or tired. We all feel that. Trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, or gastrointestinal disorders. You find yourself with an upset stomach, and you might think that there's nothing really going on, but it could be a sign that you're dealing with anxiety. And listen to this one. This one is interesting to me. Having an urge to avoid anything that will cause anxiety. I think we can agree that is almost impossible to avoid anything that's going to cause anxiety. It's not entirely impossible, but there is some benefit in recognizing what causes your anxiety and trying to avoid it or minimize it. But listen to this. To live a life defined by constant avoidance is not living at all. So if that is your method of dealing with it and you're trying to avoid all contact with anything that deals with anxiety, that's going to be a very difficult life. So let me ask you, how many of those things on that list did you say yes or no to? Take a moment and think about it. Run back through it and think about it. What did I say yes to? What did I say no to? And then as it relates to anxiety, if you wouldn't mind in the comment section below, if you don't mind sharing with us, how does anxiety affect you? As we know, anxiety affects all of us. It affects us all in different ways. And so I'm very curious to know, how does it affect you? You may be the one who has trouble sleeping. You may have trouble concentrating. You may have gastrointestinal disorders, whatever. If you wouldn't mind, drop that in the comments below. And this last question that I'm going to ask, what have you done that has helped you? And for those of you that are watching this video, take the time to scroll down into the comment section and take a look, because I'm telling you, somebody might say something that would be very helpful to you. What have you found that helps you? Part of our work here is to bring together the spiritual, the mental, and the practical. We said when we began this that we wanted to bring those three things together, and so we just want to deal with those week after week. So starting with the spiritual. Spiritually, anxiety, I don't know whether you agree with this or not, is the elephant in the room. I hear church folks all the time talking about it, but more often than not, they are just whispering about it, because we know that the Bible says something about not being anxious. Be anxious for nothing. We feel like that worry is a sign of weakness, that if we worry, we don't have as much faith as we should. But when we read the writings of Solomon in Proverbs, we find that Solomon even acknowledged it. He said, anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression. When we watch Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, we see that Jesus dealing with anxiety. You see that anxiety is very real. Several of those symptoms that we mentioned are right there with him in that time of distress in the garden. So it's very real. One of the great passages that I found this week as it relates to anxiety was in the Jewish Bible in Isaiah 41:10, where God said, listen to this, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be distressed, for I am your God. I give you strength. I give you help. Listen to this. He said, I support you. Many find great comfort in Psalm 62, where David said, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Last week in our video on triggers, we talked about prayer and the importance of prayer. It's one of the great things that we can do spiritually. Mentally, anxiety is absolutely a problem. It is a major problem for many people, and so there should be no stigma or hesitation about admitting that. There should not be any on your behalf or mine about admitting that we deal with it, nor should there be any hesitation for us to seek help from talking to a friend, a parent, a pastor, a counselor, or someone that we can trust. Seek the help that you need. Seek the help that you need as quickly as you can, practically. How do we practically deal with it? There are so many tools that can help you with anxiety, and I just wanted to give you a few. In a previous video, we talked a little bit about the triggers that we have. You should be very aware of your triggers. What is it that triggers your anxiety? How do I know that? Well, sometimes people consider writing down things, and they keep a diary or a journal. I'm not necessarily a journalist, but some people do. They like to journal their thoughts. Maybe you would. Writing down when you feel the most anxious, and then looking a little deeper and saying, when did that happen? Some of the tools that I've heard about and I wanted to pass along to you is to pay attention to your breathing. One person that I know very closely said that they practice the 4-4 rule. When you're talking about breathing, you breathe in for 4 seconds and you breathe out for 4 seconds. They call it the 4-4. 4 in and 4 out. What about the 3-3-3 rule? A 3-3-3 rule is very helpful. It says to look around you and name 3 things that you can see, name 3 things that you can hear, and then move 3 parts of your body. So even now, think about that. While you're dealing with some kind of anxiety in your life, you look around, you look at 3 things that you can see. You think closely about 3 things that you can hear, and then you move 3 parts of your body. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your ankles. Muscle relaxation. To help you deal with anxiety, it's one of the great tools, because whether we notice it or not, sometimes when we get anxiety and we get anxious, we start tensing up. And you can feel it in your shoulders, you can feel it in your neck. It causes headaches, it causes problems. I ride a motorcycle. And from time to time, in the tension of riding, you can get aware that your shoulders are tightening up. You're tensing your shoulder muscles, and I have to tell myself, relax a little bit. tools to help you deal with anxiety. Establish a limit. Establish a limit. Put a limit on that thing. Put some boundaries on it and say, you know what? I feel stressed out. I feel anxious right now, but I'm just going to just wallow in it for just a few minutes. And in about 5 minutes, I'm going to say, that's enough. And then you're going to stop if you can. Many have found success in limiting the amount of time that they get into it. Tonight, those are a few of the tools, and I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to include some links at the end of this video that will be, I'm sure, very helpful on managing and dealing with anxiety, and all kinds of tools that I think would be very helpful to you. I hope that this time together has been helpful for you. If you wouldn't mind, let us know in the comments. Tell us what you heard, what you thought. Mirror it back to me. Tell me what you heard. Tell us the tools that you found that help for you. Maybe your words will help somebody else in the comment section. And if you found something that works, be quick to share that. Tonight, if you feel like this content has been helpful, if you don't mind, click that share button. Help us to grow this channel. Tell your friends about it. Let them know that we are here. And we appreciate you very much spending time with us here. We look forward to seeing you next time on Mental Health Moments.